What is up, down, and sideways? You fantastic individuals. It's another MP of League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you for yet another saga chapter in the book of T1 versus GenG. And this is maybe the chapter that you can kind of speed read through and not fully grasp what's going on or pay attention. Because we were saying, are we going to start worrying about T1 if they get slammed by GenG? And the answer is no, we don't need to worry about T1 right now. Do we need to start worrying about GenG? Because, again, the record, it doesn't matter, but this series, I have never seen this, basically since 2022, GenG put up a performance like this.
Oh, baby. This was a crazy one to go through, and not for the reasons that we're usually saying a crazy or extravagant series when you're talking about these two. Hitting Summoner's Rift, the GenG homestand, and yes, it is T1. Peyz disrupting this homestand for the GenG organization. Absolutely looking at this one and the shift in that storyline, in that feeling of where it was about the question marks, about the disappointments and lack of performance on T1 in recent matches. That's kind of going to go away due to the success in this one. And then on this flip side, you're going to tell me that what you see here in this game, watch it back, watch it with us right here, is the same team that was capable of winning 27 straight series. I don't see it. That is not the same squad, even though it is the exact same roster.
Yeah, and this, you know what, I'll give Keen credit. He was fine in this series, had his moments, had the quadra kill on the Varus, but this is maybe the first time I've seen Chovy on GenG. It looked more like Chovy Life Esports, the Hanwha Life roster, where it was Chovy doing a lot of heavy lifting, and that's, I mean, Faker was still a little bit suspect in this series, and Chovy got his individual leads, but the bot lane was invisible. Peyz, as you mentioned, had a great series and completely controlled a lot of the key team fights in this, but Duro and Ruler, where were they in either of these games?
It's becoming now a question when you are looking at the scope of this year and looking at Ruler's performance and his power level. Maybe this is just either a down year, maybe we've reached a burnout stage for him. Remember, this is, again, someone who's been playing for over a decade now, pretty much at this point. It's possible that that could be happening because, again, this dip that we have seen this year, we talked about it before. Maybe, that was the whole distraction with the taxes and legal situation going on. That gets solved, and then we don't really see all that much of a return to form. We see a little bit of that bounce back, but then again, we're dipping down into moments like this, performances like these, which seem very pedestrian for a guy who is an all-star, all-caliber type of player, and that's not what you're being delivered for with GenG. And again, that extends to other members of this team, pretty much outside of, as you laid out, Keen, a little bit for the most part on the, electric kill, and then Chovy. But still, some of these mistakes, some of these problems that was coming through and being exposed by a T1, and a T1 that we were not expecting to be in the form to do so. That is the problem for GenG. And again, you're only going to have to deal with it on a consistent basis, hanging up here in this Legends group.
And this now, consistency, the things you could continually count on in the LCK. Was GenG beaten up on T1 domestically throughout this whole dominant near dynasty era that we've had with GenG, at least domestically. And now you've got the road to MSI they lost, and now they've lost this set, and not even with the T1 being at the highest level. And of course, it's a quick turnaround now for GenG to go against D+, which now has thrown an even bigger wrench. What a roller coaster seesaw of who the good teams in the LCK have been basically in all of 2026. And even Hanwha, the first split, it seems so far away, but they finished 10th. But it's been such a change in who you actually think the top squad in the LCK is.
Gonna be one of these ones where watching this series against D plus Kia is kind of gonna give me the indication of how the rest of this time in this Legends group is gonna play out, whether it's going to be this constant, game of tag. You're it. No, you're it. You're it. You're it. Touching, run and go in all these situations of everybody beating up on each other, leapfrogging and whatever. or if we're going to see some consistent stories. And that consistent story would be a GenG that is seemingly not up to the pace of everybody else at this top tier in the LCK.
You know who loves to see this weird shifting in the LCK, fighting against each other, disappointing internationally? It's your boys from BLG. Billy Gaming had the big matchup against the 3-1 World Elite. Obviously, the continuation of the story from their back-to-back playoff matchups, and World Elite proving that playoff run might have been a bit of magic because BLG pretty swiftly suffocates them down. And this is again, Wenbo had a nice showing, maybe going to be some of the last or the penultimate series we see out of him, depending on how this saga goes. But just another Jeune masterclass, back-to-back games, and Viper doing the avoid AD carries at all costs speed run, still going full steam ahead.
And very much being successful in that play. That, and when you're talking about BLG, and again going over some of that drama, it's kind of crazy because again 5-0, they are rolling on through. They're up wins, and the on the Rift product, doesn't matter if it's been in the lineup or not, has been very steady. And this has been the BLG that has dominated the region and has been able to take that control. And getting this head-to-head again against WE, say what you will about them, but they've certainly been, at the very least, been able to be somewhat of a thorn in the side of BLG or contender in the LPL. So to take care of them in this matchup like this, again, with all that conversation around what's going to happen in that top side, is kind of one of the crazier stories of the LPL going on right now.
Yeah, and they're right back on the Rift against JDG on the weekend, so I imagine Wenbo will probably still play that series, but then they're off for almost a week, which seems like a natural spot to maybe give a new guy some scrims, see if Bin is coming back, because if after that 6-day break you're not seeing Bin back in the lineup, it might be the last time you saw Bin wearing a BLG jersey on stage.
And frankly, it kind of has to be this examination period ending after that week, type of period, because you don't have a ton of runway room left for you, right? No matter how many times you'll say, oh, I got this many weeks or this many matches, that's going to slowly whittle down, and you're going to be right at that point of waiting for the World Championship, getting ready to board your flight over to North America, and you got to be ready. Better have built up some synergy with who you got on that point. So I think that this is one of those ones where if you're BLG and you are serious about your aspirations this year, and with Knight playing the way that he is, with the meta, the shape that it is right now, and Viper capitalizing on it, you got to put all your chips in, and you cannot be having disruption in that top side or within that behind the scenes of your roster. You got to sort this out now within this week period for me if you're BLG.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to have 3 top laners going forward. And all Wenbo has done is contributed to a 5-0, potentially 6-0 start. And it feels harsh to bench a guy for that. So then you're probably running with Flandre and Wenbo going forward, which makes the most sense.
Yeah, well, it's flat out one of these ones where you're not rolling with a combo with Bin. But let's get that pretty much straight out. It's Bin or nothing in that top side. You're not rolling a duo. You
don't think he's going to want to split time?
You're not going rest or driver. I don't care whoever, other substitute. We're not rolling that one out there for a player like Bin. That's not happening. But if you are going to side with, what you have seen, what contributions you have gotten from Wenbo, well, then having Flandre as that additional option, whether he's going to be option 1A or 1B, whatever it is, he can and does bring something to the table and does bring a different factor for this BLG squad. So again, this week and a half, you have to make a choice on which path you're going to go down or continue as this BLG team. And you have to do it not only for that runway room, but to honor your players in Knight and Viper and on going down this lineup of how they have performed so far this year, and give them the best tools possible, best environment possible to make a run at the World Championship.
Yeah, and I don't think the baggage and drama that comes with Bin returning is going to be the type of smoke that especially Jeune or Knight want to be dealing with. Quick note on the LEC just starting off the week this week, and MCoy dropping a game to Shifters. They had the game. They throw it multiple times in like a 45-minute game. If MCoy starts 0-4 and loses to Shifters, like, I'm ready to write this split off for them.
Oh man, it is really bad. It's going to be one of these ones where, again, I'm kind of steadying myself and realizing, yes, there is still a little bit more room, a little bit of time, and absolutely an environment within the LEC where you can get, a sloppy week or two here and then rebound and build yourself back up into that position of being a top tier option, being one of these ones, a world's hopeful type of stuff. But if that doesn't turn around right now, this is absolutely a squad that we are seeing bottom out. I think at this point, I think they are certainly crashing into that middle tier or below in the LEC with performances like this and slipping up against the Shifters.
Yeah, and again, this is a squad that, I don't want to say mentally fragile, but if things are not going well, they can definitely spiral out of control with some of the personalities that they have on the squad. And starting 0-4 with the loss to Shifters is a pretty clear path to spiraling out of control.
If you're not going to say it, I will. They are a fragile mental team, and they are certainly not going to be capable of having that type of bounce back, that type of underdog, punch up type of action here in this later part of the LEC, especially, again, looking at what you've got at that top tier with Carmine Corp, with G2, and how they are rolling on through and continuing their form and success in Project. You cannot be slipping up like this one if you are a squad like Bovistar Koi.
Hopefully they prove us wrong with a dominant bounce back 2-0 reverse sweep against the Shifters. But yeah, we'll see about that. And we'll be back to recap all the weekend action. GenG back on the Rift against D+, JDG, BLG. Lots of heavy hitters over the weekend. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolute stunners. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on that flippity flip.